be going into our newspaper review for today. We'll start with Daily Trust today. Boldly written in front, we have Ganduje under fire over one-party state comment. Ohanaeze Efe Niferi, NNPP and Fegi, others react, which is on pages 4 and 5 of the newspaper. Up next, on the top left of the newspaper, we have "I'm not desperate to return as Rivers governor," says Fubara. It's on page 17 of the Daily Trust newspaper. Next, leadership crisis rocks Katsina varsity again. On the top right, we have Nigeria-Senegal in win or bust AFCON under-20 quarter-final clash, which is on page 54 if you're interested on sports. Down below, we have arms worth millions of naira in Boko Haram's hands, says a rep, which is on page 6. We have Benue, 159 killed in 40 days as fresh attacks claim 23. Very devastating, which is on page 52 of the Daily Trust newspaper. Jonathan's wife rules out return to Aso Villa and backs Tinubu, which is on page 17 of the newspaper. How truck crushed ex-varsity VC's children to death, which is a devastating situation. That is on page 28 of the Daily Trust newspaper. If you want more news, make sure you grab yourself a copy and stay updated.
All right, the This Day newspaper is up next. Let's take a look at the front page of the This Day newspaper for today. From the top, Alake says, Tinubu's reforms yielded 6.9 billion naira in revenue in mining license fees in the first quarter. And Rewani says, Nigeria has too many underutilized airports. I'm not sure where that is coming from, but he should know what he's talking about, Bismarck Rewani. And that is a story you can find on the pages of the This Day newspaper for today. Up next, 2027, Patience Jonathan.
Up next, we have Punch. Federal government taps ex-AGF 11 Sands as Supreme Court battle looms. Up top on the Punch newspaper, we have PDP installs new bot members as a governor's map party direction, which is on page 9 of the newspaper if you want more. The federal government makes U-turn, endorses Senate Security Summit, which is on page 2 as well. We have NCAA under fire down below after plane strikes antelope on taxiway. I wonder how that happened, but it's on page 31 of the Punch newspaper. We have Aiyedatiwa Makinde Bamidele salute Afenifere leader Faso Ranti at 99. That's on page 40 of the Punch newspaper. We have federal government states add 57 trillion naira to debt in 18 months, which is still on the Punch newspaper. Boldly in front, there's a picture depiction of the new Pope.
Pope Leo the 14th.
Yes. That is all on the Punch newspaper.
That was his first mass.
Yes.
He had some very strong things to say.
That was a very joyous day for the Catholic. That is on the Punch newspaper. Make sure you grab yourself a copy and stay informed.
All right, finally, let's take a look at the Nigerian Tribune for today. On ease over INEC's delay to conduct by-election in 12 states. What is that all about? More on that story on page 22. It says 2 Senate seats up for grabs. Yes, we know that in Delta. I beg your pardon, not Delta. In Edo, Governor Opebolo obviously left the Senate, and the late Senator, is it Senator Uba? Yeah, Andy Uba, I think. Who passed away in the United Kingdom, I think also. Is it Andy or Chris? Or I can't remember.
It's Ifeanyi Juba.
Yeah, exactly. Beg your pardon for that. Chris crossed my mind a moment. So there's that and a whole lot of other constituency elections that the INEC is yet to conduct. Obi says how Nigeria can become beacon of hope for Africa, blames setback on incompetent, uncommitted leadership. The biggest headline on the front page of the Nigerian Tribune has this: Wike Ekpeazu Autumn attend PDP governors meeting. Why they were mentioned, I suppose, because they are part of the G5 governors that created that storm in 2023. Saraki Tambo Lamido Onyola Udom also in attendance. And there's a whole lot of other stories that we've brought you on many other newspaper this morning. So let's get into the details or the analysis to the backstory. Joining us this morning is Dr. Theophilus Abba of our very own Daily Trust Foundation, the Director of Programs. Doctor, good morning. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Thank you. The producer didn't drag you in this morning. You wanted to be here.
Actually, I ought to be here tomorrow, but I'm a friend of the house.
So he dragged you again. We're going to have a conversation with the producer about your liberties. But anyway, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
Let's start off with the conversation that we've been having with some of our viewers this morning about this whole one-party state. Some people think it's, wishful thinking for the APC chairman to even mention it or to put Nigeria and China in the same political conversation about democracy. But what do you make of it? Clearly, the pushback is quite loud.
Well, I think when you talk about one-party state, it's a party that has a kind of philosophy. Like if you go to China, they say, well, we are socialists, but then we practice democracy. Well, that means that you have only one party. Everybody belongs to that party. You have the same philosophy. You can run your state the way you want it, but then you have to do it in line with the philosophy of the
There's an
party
alignment.
and the alignment of that philosophy. So, as it is today, Nigeria does not have a philosophy of one-party state. We must have to, to understand that the philosophy, the constitution of Nigeria is multi-party democracy. So even if everybody is joining a political party, it doesn't translate to a one-party state in the real sense of it. Because one-party state is a political philosophy. Now, but if you look at what is happening, it's quite opportunistic. If you look at, I think I remember in 2019, that was when Ushomole, who was the chairman of the APC, said, look, if you join the APC, all your sins are forgiven. Now, if you look at some of the people who are rushing into APC, they have sins. Some of them are being accused of corruption. Some of them are being accused of waste. Some of them are having issues even with maybe those who brought them into power. And so you see, it's aligning with what Oshomole said. That look, if you think your sins are such that you cannot atone for it, just join APC. Now, and it's very, very, very unfortunate. Because if all the sinners, speaking in biblical terms, that join the APC, it means that we'll have too many sins, in APC. There'll be no accountability, there'll be no transparency, there'll be no, people will not be held accountable for what they do. And if you look at the problem we have in Nigeria today, it is because of the lack of accountability that we are in the state we have found ourselves today, where people do things that are obviously wrong. I remember there was an EFCC chairman who pointed at a governor who was just leaving his state as governor. He was just ending his tenure as governor. And so come and report, at the EFCC because you have multi-billion naira accusations against you. Report. And before the guy did not report, and before, he could even settle that. Okay, the FCC chairman was removed, and under unceremonious circumstances. Nobody has told us why that young man was removed as the FCC chairman. And today, this person who was accused, of corruption, is a member of this government. So you can imagine, the scenario. This man was in PDP. He was in PDP. He didn't win the election. I think the Supreme Court used some pre-election rule and said, look, APC, you cannot say you won this election. They handed it over to him on the platter. Now, when the EFCC accused him of, you are corrupt, come and answer questions, he said no. He had already jumped to APC and he didn't go to the EFCC. But now he's a strong person in APC. Right. And if you look at a whole lot of persons who are holding positions in APC, they have issues. So I'm not saying that I mean, people cannot jump from one party to another. But if we look at the trend, we discover that people who have questions to answer have had to join the APC.
The ruling party.
But then, even the opposition party, it's not as if those in the opposition party are innocent. For instance, why is it that PDP has found itself in this problem? It is because even the internal rules of the party are not obeyed. You know, you remember in 2023, before the election, you know, Peter Obi left PDP. Many of us forget that Peter Obi was not originally in the Labour Party. He was in ABGA. In fact, he was elected as governor under ABGA. From ABGA, he joined PDP. He became a running mate to Atiku. Then, when he discovered that the battle for the vice presidency in PDP was too tough, he saw the handwriting on the wall. He moved out. He joined He joined Labour Party. You understand? And if you look at it, Kwankwaso, which party has he not belonged to? One was in PDP. Now he's in NNPP. And we are hearing that it's most likely that he will change party. So if you look at it, it is opportunistic moves. So it's not exactly the concept of one-party state. And so Ganduje cannot convince us that if we have a one-party state, we become China. In China, if you are in that party and you committed you engaged in corrupt practices, you face capital punishment. We have had people being executed. You know, do you think any member of the APC will be executed for corruption? So you cannot begin to compare what we have in Nigeria now with what is happening in China. There's no room for comparison. In terms of philosophy and practice, we don't have.
All right, on the Punch newspaper, the front page has a lot of interesting stories, but how about this one where the federal government made a U-turn endorsing this proposed National Security Summit by the Nigerian Senate. And over the weekend, we also had the Northern Governors Forum alongside Northern Elders who had a similar outing in Kaduna to talk about the prevailing insecurities in northern Nigeria. I think there's an infographic on the front page of the Daily Trust that breaks down some of the most recent attacks in the northeast as well as other parts of the country. What do you make of the whole idea about security summits? Are they making any difference entirely in the grand scheme of things?
Actually, as far as I'm concerned, it's good to talk, you know, because when you host summits, when you bring heads together, when people come together, they share ideas, and from these ideas, you can actually find solutions. You know, maybe you are fixated in one perspective, say, oh, this is the answer. But by the time you listen to Mr. A and Mr. B, those who are experts in the various ramifications or whatever you are discussing, it's got like, oh, your own may be narrow-minded, so those other ideas are better. You know, quite good. But you see, incidentally, maybe because I studied, my work was around terrorism. And I know that a whole lot of things that I would say we have summits. And if you ask somebody to say, okay, bring all these papers together, you know, do a summary of all these, do a summary of all the recommendations for us. Let us see what we can, let's see what align, you know, with what is happening today. And I'll give you an example. One of the stories in today's Daily Trust is saying that bandits who wore police uniform attacked some schools. You understand? And when you study terrorism, it's called that these guys repeat what others have done. What has happened before will be repeated. You know, for instance, we never thought that a place like Benue State would come under this kind of attack. We thought that, oh, the people in Borno, they are very unfortunate. The people in Yobe, they are very unfortunate. That's why Boko Haram was attacking and killing them. But now you see it's happening. So when it's happening in a state, you know that it can happen in another place. And one of the things you do is that, oh, if it's happening here, the solution you apply here, you apply it everywhere. If not, by the time it becomes your turn, you'll be shocked. So what I'm saying is this: we've had a lot of studies. You know, all we need to do is to put them together and say, look, what can we learn? How do we move forward? And sincerely, many people who have been come here to discuss terrorism challenges must have been told us what we should do. Number one, and that is something that we have said again and again, you must wet the place with security infrastructure. That is, we must have many policemen, different kind of security arrangement that will challenge the kind of attacks that these guys are, you know. Okay, you are saying, oh, they will go to an armory, you know, they cut away the weapons. That is what the infographic is saying.
Yes.
Now, it has happened before. This is not the first time. This has happened. So what have we done to secure the armories? What kind of protection, have we put in place? We had the Boko Haram will go and kidnap, abduct students from schools because at the back of the school there was no fence. Many schools don't have fence in Nigeria today. Many, they don't have fence. They don't have effective security arrangement. If you had a fence and there's only one entrance, you cannot enter a school and abduct them. You cannot jump over the fence and take a big multiple number. So we have these solutions already, but we have refused to do what we ought to do. You understand? I said some time ago, we have said our borders are porous. And I said Saudi Arabia built a 1,000 naira wall between Saudi Arabia and Yemen to prevent Yemen terrorists from entering Saudi Arabia. You understand? 1,000 mile wall to prevent them from coming. So if you look at even America, but we have kept on saying, oh, the borders are porous, there's nothing we can do about it. The border, there's nothing like that. Even if it's a 10,000 kilometer border. If over the last 50 years, we say, okay, let's build a wall, let's put some security posts there, let's demonstrate that we are a nation. We know we have our brothers across the other part of Africa, but you can have a route for them to enter. You don't allow everybody to just enter, do whatever they want to do and go. When it happened in Benue, or the defense headquarters say, they are foreign terrorists. So what? Do you think that Nigerians can move into Cameroon and start killing people? They will kill people in Cameroon and come back. Nigerians will go to the Benin Republic, kill people and come back. Does it happen? What is the essence of the ECOWAS protocol? The ECOWAS protocol is that you liaise with the security agencies at the other border, either their customs and immigration, so ensure that there's no movement of terrorists from one part of Africa to another. So why will make use of it? Right. So these are some of the things that we have ignored, but we're organizing summits and discussing and talking and all this and another, which they are not helping us.
A lot of people will say it's supposed to be instrumental, but we've not seen much that has come out of some of these talk shops over the past few years. There's one particular story that piqued my interest on the front page of the Nigerian Tribune. It's about unease over INEC's delay to conduct by-elections in 12 states, 2 Senate seats, 5 House of Representatives seats, 9 state constituency seats also affected. And I want to take a look at the provisions in the Electoral Act, and according to Section 76, Sub 2 of the Electoral Act of 2022, INEC is mandated to conduct a by-election within 30 days after a vacancy occurs in the National Assembly or the State Assembly. The provision ensures that any vacant legislative seat is filled promptly to maintain effective representation. But it's safe to say that since Senator Okpebolo's election in Edo, it's been, what now? Close to 6-7 months now. And you have a lot of these other House of Representatives seats that have not been filled. What does this signpost for the electoral umpire exactly? Because clearly this is not what the rule states.
Well, what I wanted to understand was the unease. When you talk about unease, is it that people are protesting? Is it that there are petitions? Or is it that the constituencies are complaining and all this? So that word unease is what I don't really understand.
I think they're trying to embellish the story.
Because what I know is that you can fault INEC. You can say, okay, INEC has failed to conduct election here after so number of months, and that would be much more easier to understand. And I don't know, we've not heard from INEC, but then it shouldn't be so, because I thought that it is given. You have, it is maybe the death certificate of the person, who passed on has been submitted, or like this governor is very obvious that he was in the Senate, he's no longer in the Senate, and his people need to be represented in the Senate. So I think what we'll say is that INEC must make sure that it works in line with its own electoral act, because the electoral act was approved by the National Assembly based on input from INEC. That INEC has the capacity and the capability to conduct election within 30 days. And that is why it is there in the Electoral Act. And I think they should, they should not allow people to protest or create unease before the elections are conducted. I think that's what I would say.
All right. Okay, I think we've run out of time, because we are hearing that our time is up. So we're going to have to leave it here for now. Doctor, as always, thank you most kindly for joining us this morning.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate you very much for the analysis. All right. And of course, that brings us to the end of today's edition of the program. Thank you, Muskali, for joining us on Daybreak. We'll be back tomorrow live at 8 p.m. exclusive as always on Trust TV. Hope you'll be a part of the next episode. My name is Abdullahi Ahmed. Good morning.
And I'm Hawa Adamikia. Thank you for being with us.